G'day everyone, this is RisingFunGaming and welcome to another Monster Hunter World video. This time around we're hunting both the Anjanath and the Great Jagras using the hunting horn. Now, an obligatory disclaimer that this is the Gamescom demo build. Whilst the bulk majority of what you see in this video will be a good representation of the final product, there will be differences in what you see here. Of particular note is the fact that various monster attributes, such as HP and attack power, have been modified for the purpose of a flawed demo version. Now, the hunting horn that we'll be using today is called the Spiked Horn. It's extremely reminiscent of the bone horn we are familiar with from previous games. Unlike the bone horn I'm used to from Monster Hunter Double Cross, this demo version horn has sleep element and has white, red and dark blue notes. In the demo, there are a number of charms, mantles and specialty items that you can choose from. In this particular run, I'm using the defense charm, the ghillie mantle, and I'm carrying the health booster, a deployable tool that provides a spring of health recovering mist. Now, the defense tool, or the defense charm rather, will obviously boost our defense, and the ghillie mantle is useful in times that you want to camouflage yourself in the environment to hide or sneak up on monsters. The armor I decide on here is the Hunters series, which in the demo build looks to grant the stun resistance, attack boost, master mounter, and cliffhanger armor skills. Not exactly sure what cliffhanger does, as I didn't check, but seeing as this localization seems to have produced more descriptive and less vague skill names, one would be confident that this has something to do with giving an advantage in climbing and some other interactions with vertical surfaces perhaps, but let's just take that as my speculation for now. As we're using a melee weapon, we fall under the Blade Master class, which grants a weapon type bonus that lessens physical damage taken. In my light bowgun video, we took less elemental damage instead, as this is the weapon type bonus for the gunner class. The Hunter's armor looks to be resistant to fire and water, while having a neutral resistance to thunder, ice and dragon. Now, before we start the hunting horn smackdown massacre, I would like to draw your attention to what the hunting horn specific HUD elements mean. This will help us understand how hunting horn works for those that are new to it, and it will help everyone else understand some of the new features that World will be bringing. This information is just what I've been able to glean so far, and be aware that there may be more nuances to the weapon that we overlooked today. Okay, so what we're taking a look at here is a screen cap taken from the hunt. You'll notice that there's quite a few new HUD elements and there's quite a bit to go through, so let's quickly delve in. For those that are new to Hunting Horn, basically Hunting Horn is a weapon that is famed for its long reach, its ability to stun monsters, and probably the most important thing is the fact that it can play different notes that when put together in a specific combination can be recited into a song that gives buffs to hunters, and in some cases can affect monsters through doing things like sonic waves and the like. Okay, let's zoom in and take a closer look at the top right section. Alright, so hunting horns have 3 different note colors, and you'll notice that in this demo build here we've got this nice button guide. It's a new feature of World. If you press the triangle button, you're going to do the white note. If you press the circle button, you're going to get the red note. If you press those 2 buttons together, you're going to get the blue note. Over here is a list of 5 songs that you can possibly play and the note colors combinations that you need in order to play them. So for example, if we press triangle and then we press circle twice, we're going to get white, red, red. If we choose to press the R button, which is usually the button that you need to press to play or recite the song, you're going to get attack up small. There's also a function called encore, which is basically a double recite, and that's advantageous to do because you can do things like boost the effect of the songs, you can extend the duration of the buffs that they give, or otherwise you can get a completely different effect on top of the initial one. The self-improvement song over here is set aside from these other 4, I believe because self-improvement is a universal song across all horns, it will get you both a movement speed up and a anti-weapon bouncing or an anti-weapon deflections buff, which is very, very useful. Okay, for this particular horn, we've obviously got the white, red, blue, and these are the 4 different songs you can play using combinations of those different colors. One thing to note here is that the names of these songs can come with 3 different colors. The first 3 here are just white text, and the other 2 are purple. Now the white text shows us that the buffs have not been played, they're not in effect. If you play a buff once, if you play a song once, you're going to have the song name or the buff name in, I think, a green or yellow. Please look out for that during the gameplay. And if you encore it, i.e. you've played it twice, your buff is going to be shown with purple text. So we can see here that these first 3 have not been played and are not in effect, whilst the defense up small and self-improvement have been encored. Okay, as your duration of your effect runs out, the color of the text will also do so in turn. Okay, now let's go over this area, the top left. Okay, so in traditional Monster Hunters, we've always had this recital bar here for the hunting horn. This shows up to this shows us the 4th most recently played notes. And the notes that you play will enter onto the bar from the right and push the oldest note out of sort of the chain. So if we go ahead to press, for example, the triangle button for a white note, another white note is going to appear alongside this one, and it's going to push this oldest played one out. So you've really got to strategize what you've put up here when you want to play a song, or at least that's the way it's been traditionally. And we're going to go in and learn something very, very interesting and revolutionary in just a moment. But first we'll address a couple of new things here in World for just this section. You'll also notice that the information on which button you've had to press to get these notes carries over here, which is nice. And also it's got this sort of predictor or just a suggestion on which button and which note you could press to possibly queue up a buff over here. As we have learnt before, 2 white notes together, 2 triangle presses is going to get us self-improvement. Okay, so what it's doing here is telling us if you go ahead to press triangle again to get that white note, you're going to get a white next to a white, which is going to be a self-improvement. In the list here, it's got deflected attack, which is the encore effect of the white. Okay, so this one comes in, pushes that out. Now, one thing about, I don't know, being strategic with the horn traditionally has been, you know, you've got to be careful with your real estate up here. You've got to be careful not to push out a note if you require it for a song that you want to play right now. But in Monster Hunter World, you can store up to 3 songs, and that's what's happened here. Now, as long as you've played the songs in the correct order, it's going to come down here and go into this 3-song queue. You can store up to a maximum of 3. If you go ahead and if I go ahead and do a self-improvement here, if I queue that up again, it's going to push this one out, and these 2 are going to come down, and we're going to get self-improvement up here. So it goes down as you store them. This is really, really good because you no longer have to worry as much about keeping the notes that you require for a song here, and you can keep aggressive, and you can have these stored up and call upon them whenever you'd like. So what you can see here, this is the most recent combo that we played. We can see red, blue and white here. Red, blue and white, and that's come in at the top. So to simply recite this one, we press R2. Previous to this, these notes have been pushed out. We had white, red, red, and that's been stored here, which we can call upon and recite if we do a 2-button combo for the recite, triangle and R2. Likewise, an older one in history was a white, white. If we do a circle press and an R2 together, we will get the deflected attack prevention. This is very, very cool, and it's of obvious utility because you can call upon these at a moment's notice, and this makes things like antidote effects of horns more viable, because if your buddies get poisoned out in the field, traditionally you've had to go, right, they're poisoned, now I have to play the song if it's not already queued. I've got to take my time to press those buttons in and then recite it. If you can do that before the other hunters have sheathed their weapons and just taken an antidote, then good for you. You're a legend. But with this new thing, you could have it stored here ready to go, and you see your buddies get poisoned. Just do, like, for example, if it's stored in the middle, triangle R2 button, boom, you're good. Everyone is cured of their poison, and you are more of a legend and more supportive to your friends. So what do you reckon about that? Hunting horn in Monster Hunter World is going to be more attractive, I think. I think more people are going to be inspired to use it, and what a joy it is. Alright, so we've zoomed from the start of the quest. There's a whole bunch of running around trying to track down our Anjanath, and at this point we're just about to come upon him and his lair. We've smacked down on a few of the little Jagras on the way, so you'll see a few notes on the recital bar there. But here he is, as he often is, having a bit of a sleep in his warrens here. Our scout flies have kind of turned that red and run away, or at least some of them. We've still got some hanging around over there near a mucus mark in the field there. Now, interestingly, when you start this hunt, the Anjanath, pretty much in every case where I fought him in the demo, leads us out to this sloped rocky area. Okay, so it's going to be very, very interesting. We took the high ground here, which is going to be good. We're going to be able to land some headshots a bit easier that way, so he's really putting himself in a position of disadvantage. It's very, very interesting to see how easily and soon he became KO'd here. I think this is going to be purely by virtue of the modified attributes of the monster in the demo. I doubt he's going to be this easily stunned in the actual game itself. A few things to point out if you haven't seen my previous video on the LBG. You'll notice that the little Jagras there has a little paw print next to it. That's indicating, and we've got another stun there, believe it or not, indicating that he has been befriended by my Palico and he is now fighting for us. He should continue to do so for the rest of the hunt. The Anjanath is really, really cool because when he gets really angry, he'll sort of extend out his sort of head comb looking section there, which enhances some of his senses, most notably smell, I believe, and it'll help him track down his quarry, chase us down, and as he's quite aggressive, he will definitely want to do that should we run away, but we'll see who runs away first. Okay, so we've put down the shock trap. It is a very, very fast thing in this game compared to old games. Putting shock traps down doesn't take very much time at all. It's super interesting. For those that skip straight to this, I don't know if you've got the information that we're using a sleep horn. This is the spiked horn, I believe it's called, and it's kind of a reskin of the bone horn which we're used to from the older games. It's really, really awesome looking, and for at least the purposes of the demo, it's got sleep on it. So we've got sleep, we've got KO, all those sorts of good things, which is going to definitely help us take out our Anjanath here. What he's doing here again is that pin and slam that he usually does. I'm still not sure whether he will continue to keep you down. He seems to just pick you up and slam you. I've noticed that in the LBG video as well. Okay. So as we went through in the introduction of this video, you'll notice that there are a lot of different HUD features for the hunting horn. We'll see like there's a queue of 3 songs underneath the recital bar there, which we can call upon with the button shortcuts shown there. You can press R2 to recite Defense Up Large at the moment, which is an encore version of the White Blue Blue song, Defense Up Small. You'll notice that there's sort of a predictive note sort of thing to the right of that bar up the top there, which gives us little hints at what notes we could play and queue up next to get a song. So all these sorts of quality of life changes to the hunting horn makes them a little bit more attractive to use, I'd say. Okay, so we're over in this section here. It's a nice section to fight him in because he'll do things like get himself trapped in the vines, and we've got plenty of ledges to jump off for potential rides. We do have mounting master armor skill on the Hunter's Armor series here, so it would be good to take advantage of that. I forget if I do, so we'll have to wait and see, I guess. Also out in this quest we can run into a Rathalos, although we really have to get out of our way to do so. But a Great Jagras is more than likely to show up at some point. I think I've noticed that the Anjanath is more enthused to use his fire attacks when he's in rage mode. You can definitely see that sort of red coloration building up in the throat area, which is super cool. What we're also doing now, whilst he's limping away, is using the slinger to shoot paralysis knives. No longer do we throw things like the throwing knives, they are now launched by the slinger. There's a very satisfying sort of target reticule that snaps to the monster when you're doing this, and it's very, very useful. I love the way that the Jagras sort of flinches out when he is knocked out of doing a sort of flaming move. We've gotten him asleep again as we get introduced to the Great Jagras here, who is ritually eating us. I think at this point when I'm playing, I'm like pretty angry that this Jagras has come in and sort of interrupted me. We wanted to get a ride on the Anjanath here. And we did strike him during that jump, but we also struck the Great Jagras, which actually initiated the ride on him. What's really cool when you ride, you do get these finishing moves, and they're going to be different between the different weapon types. You get the overhead smash for the hunting horn, which is super, super cool. We will see that again in a sec against this guy. We do get a second ride. And when you are doing this overhead smash, you not only hit him, but if there's any other smaller monsters nearby, you can also clip them. We will see this. So much to commentate on, like the last video. We're probably missing a lot. There's lots of stuff going on. You will see that there are these little messages that pop up when you break parts, indicating that you've done so, which part of the monster you have broken, and the points that you are given for doing so. Just what these points are and what they do for you, who knows? I'm still unclear on the specifics of that, but no doubt they'll be useful, maybe for things like for trading them for items and stuff in town. You can see our Palico riding the Jagras now at this point, which is super cute. I don't know if the Jagras gets different attacks when you've got your Palico on. I'm pretty sure it looks to be the case, but I can't 100% confirm. We'll have to keep an eye out for that during this video and some of the future ones. This ride's way more interesting because the Great Jagras really tries to fight back. It's cool how it tries to hip check into the cliff there to knock you off. Does it on more than one occasion, which is awesome. So at this point we're going to do our finisher once we've gotten him to some sort of threshold. Once we've done enough attacks, you can now do the overhead smash, and you'll see me hitting the other Jagras out there too. That'll learn him for getting close. And we've gotten another stun off. For those that didn't see the introduction to the hunting horn information that I did before, you'll notice that the songs that have been activated and recited will have a purple text to them in the top right. Keep an eye out for that sort of thing. If you just recite them once, I believe it'll be a green text on the song names. At this point, we've pretty much got him killed, but this happens to be asleep. And we'll come around as we've run out of bombs because we used it before. we're going to use these small little barrel bombs. I wonder how we go. Can get 3 down. Pop, pop, pop. And that was enough to kill him. That'll learn you for interrupting me. Yeah, scrub. And, yeah. And at this point, we're testing the camera zoom in feature when you crouch. That's totally why I did that. Okay? I won't hear any different. So now let's track our sore and sorry Anjanath and put this guy to rest finally. I think I get a little bit confused on where to go here. But I think once we get away from the Jagras, the scout flies should pop out again to guide us to where he is sleeping. I think in the meantime we're just sort of wandering around and getting lost. So one mistake I made in the last video is claiming that you don't use any stamina when you haven't got any monsters, small or large alike, sort of aggroing at you. But it does, it seems to be at a lower amount and it sort of tucks the bar away. That's what I did. Yeah, I picked up these torch pods and I found out that you could use the slinger to shoot them, so that was cool. It was fun to find all these items out in the environment and see how you can use them. I think there's going to be a ton of stuff you can just launch from that slinger. It's like super useful. So at this point, I think the work that we did with that slinger ammo there has kind of frightened them off. So that's inspired the scout flies to come back out and lead us finally back to where the Anjanath will be sleeping. One thing that I failed to realize here is that my sharpness sucks. And I'm pretty sure we've lost the anti-deflection song effects by this point, so I forget when or if I pick up on that, so that's embarrassing. Okay, so this must be where he is because our scout flies have been scared off. And I believe we just queue up a song here because when I'm playing this, I don't realize that all those shortcuts are for queued songs that I could have just called upon at any time. So while we know the theory now about how all that stuff works, on the actual day of play we did not. Ah yeah, here we go. We realized that it's needing a good old sharpen. It's really good seeing the animation and the sort of the real-time sort of bar for the sharpness. I really enjoy that they've added that visual reminder. Alright, so an Anjanath ride. I forget if this is the first one we do for this hunt. I've already forgotten. You can see that we can do the overhead smash pretty much on any part of the body. You don't have to be near the head. It would be advantageous to do so. Take that, Vespoid. Vespoid look fantastic, don't they? And I think our Jagras friend gets a little trip off here, just like he did in the LBG video. He should have a successful snap here eventually. I think it's coming up. Yeah, there he goes. And it's really good timing because he did that tremor wave which temporarily messes with the hunter's footing there. One of the tools at his disposal in this particular zone of the map. But a disadvantage for him is, just like in 4th gen, you can kind of get a pitfall effect if you stagger a monster on this vine canopy. And there we go, finally sinking in with the last finishing blow. And we get 30 points for slaying the Anjanath, apparently. Again, so much information to take in. These hunts I could watch over and over and learn a different thing each time. But that's going to do for the Hunting Horn run against the Anjanath, and we got the Great Jagras as a bonus. Hopefully you guys really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed making it for you and obviously playing it at EB Expo. Thank you to all involved that set up the captures session. And yeah, I hope you guys learnt a lot about how Hunting Horn works in Monster Hunter World. It looks to be even more attractive. They seem to be making it more and more attractive with each iteration, and I hope people are more and more inspired to give it a go. It's a good weapon. I've always loved it. Hopefully you will too. Thank you so much for watching the video. My name's RisingFunGaming. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and we will catch you in the next one. Until then, it's goodbye for now.